took several years, actually, into the 90s to really study in depth this craft. And what they found was this craft was not the typical second grays type of craft. It was almost like it was a newer model Cadillac, so to speak. It was a newer model. It had a different propulsion system than some of the older ones that we've recovered years before. What they call the technical system, or maybe the avionics system, was something that they'd never seen before. And there were these huge, long vacuum tubes. Initially, you couldn't figure out what they were for. They were in the craft, inside the craft, and they figured they were some sort of a equalization device that might equal the gravity inside or something to that effect. Later in the 90s, they determined that was exactly what they were for. Once the craft got into air, it maintained a gravity. It was gravity inducers, they called them, that kept the gravity inside the craft to be normal. We found many of these kind of devices, although different technologies and a lot of different crafts. And actually, I think today we have that technology.
Rick, I know the two reports are a little different. Show me some of the discrepancies in there between the African Air Force report and the OSI report.
Well, the South African report talks of one extraterrestrial that was captured alive and assaulted a recovery officer. The OSI report mentions that somebody was assaulted at the scene, but the South African military neutralized or killed that particular extraterrestrial. The OSI report shows 4 bodies that were transported to Wright-Patt and then to the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology. Differences between the South African report, where you can go online and read this report, and there's also sketches on this report of the crash site and of what the extraterrestrials look like. The OSI report, unfortunately, is still classified, although there are some parts, small sections of the OSI report that has been released under FOIA in the early 2000s, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of information. I know of the full report, which is probably 100 pages, and there is a distinct difference between the South African report, like I said, you can read online, and then the OSI report. So whether the live extraterrestrial later died of something else or whether it was killed, there were 4 bodies transported, according to the OSI report, to Wright-Patt and then to the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology.
Rick, you talked about there are a type of gray. Can you give me more distinct, properties of what you mean by that?
Well, in 1989, we knew there were 2 different races of grays. The Ebens from the 1940 Roswell Corona crash, the 1949 Pelona Peak crash. They were Ebens. They were gray colored. Now, the 1953 Kingman crash had a different type of grays, not the same biologics and not the same technology. And then jump ahead to abduction experiences and incidents that were being done by grays. So the government or DIA said, now that's the second type of gray, and those are more hostile type compared to the even grays are the more docile or benevolent type.
So what insights were gained from looking at these hieroglyphic symbols inside the craft and outside?
Well, we compared them, OSI compared them to other crafts that we had or recovered that were out at the Nevada test site and stashed away out there. And what we did was we looked at the characters on the different panels. And the scientists could connect, okay, maybe what these symbols mean was how the operation of these panels occurred, or what these panels meant, the explanation. So all they had to do was try to decipher what these symbols meant, because they were on these different panels and in other places around the spacecraft. So maybe these particular symbols or characters meant there was maybe some oxygen inside here or something to that effect. So they were trying to trace these. And since they had other crafts
Right.
that were doing the same thing too, I'm pretty sure they, with linguists and other people, pieced together what these symbols or characters mean.